L is for leadership under fire, performing when the highlight or the stress is the highest. Welcome to Unbreakable. Hey, happy Thursday, everybody. Welcome to Unbreakable. Today, we're going to be focusing on the L in leadership for Unbreakable. We've just had some amazing things going on, some amazing things happening. People rallying around the vision, people really wanting to sow and to help others be successful. And I'm bringing in people, professional athletes, head coaches, people from the boardroom. My Friday's guest is going to be on fire. Is Miss Corporate America, who has done some amazing things and has an amazing cause, but also has gone through some major trials and tribulations, as we all do. And so, our goal here at Unbreakable is to create a community that equips people with information on how to be successful at the next level, how to overcome battles, losses of job, loss of careers, changing of careers, changing of relationships. Not everybody is able to implement certain principles that will cause them to be able to go to the next level. So I'm excited to be here and bring you some information. Let's jump right in with coaching point number one. Pressure reveals the real leader. See, pressure busts pipes. And leadership isn't about titles, it's about what shows up under stress. If you take a look at what a true leader is, it doesn't happen on the stage. True leadership is exposed during the storm. And you should ask yourself one question: how do I respond when the storm or stress is the highest? Do you crack? Do you fight? Do you break? Do you run away? Do you flip tables? Do you self indulge? Do you do things that aren't healthy for you? It's really a sign that your emotions are leading you and you're not leading your emotions. It's a sign that you need to work on strengthening mindset principles, being able to operate and change your tone, and be able to make choices that's going to cause you to grow despite how you feel. And two things are going to happen: you're either going to build trust or you're going to build momentum. Um, and momentum going in the wrong direction versus building trust that says you can be dependent on. You won't make an emotional decision that causes chaos. And that's really super important. And all athletes and professionals need to work on that emotional control, leading their emotions, and understand what clarity is, and not understand how emotions is what counts the most. Because a lot of times when emotions are high, logic is low, and we don't make smart choices. And so that's coaching point number one. Just remember, when the pressure hits, your habits lead, not your hype. And in order to be able to understand what habits that you do have, all you have to do is watch how you operate when the pressure gets on. And that'll be telltelling for you. And it should give you an indication of what you need to work on and what you need to practice on. And coaching point number two, actually, coaching point number one, I want to be able to just throw that back out again. I'm over here working the engineer station as well, but I'm gonna work it and I'm gonna get better at it no matter what the pressure is here in the studio. And so coaching point number two, communication beats command. A lot of times in crisis, how we say things is more important than what you know. Being able to communicate is really a great leader, and they're able to communicate when the fire is on. They're able to be calm, they're able to be clear, and they're able to be confident. Uh, anybody can bark out orders. Anybody can try to be loud and overtalk you, walk away, try to terminate the conversation, try to enforce what they do, what they feel. I think maybe all of us have heard the terminology, the squeaky wheel gets the oil. And that has worked for some people only in the short term. It doesn't bear fruit on the long term. Being able to practice how you communicate despite what's going on is super important. And command is not a great mastery skill, but timing and being able to use a trust building language is how you bring people together. It's how you use partnerships to come together. And it is how you keep relationships and forward momentum going. And remembers, leaders don't just speak loud, speak light. It's important that in moments, not to get caught up in your feelings because they will lead you aside. I've said some things I wish I didn't, and it came out my mouth, but there's nothing I could do. I had to learn how to control my emotional tone, despite how I felt in the moment, and be able to really focus on speaking light and preserving relationships and just moving forward. And so that would be coaching point number 2. Coaching point number 3, anchor in the mission, not in the moment. Stay focused on the long game. And when the short game feels chaotic, that's when it's time to focus back on the vision, work on your communication style, and remember what you're trying to accomplish. Sometimes picking a fight in the moment isn't the best thing, even though you want to let people know how you feel. You can still have your feelings about it. Let me give you a perfect example. If they call you into the office and they say, hey, we decide we want to go in a different direction, or they decide to terminate your job, because that's what's happening all across the world. People in government jobs are losing, and people are speaking up in the moment and they're being frustrated. Well, was the goal the job, or was the goal to make an impact? You still can make an impact, but a lot of people will focus on the job. And so that's true pressure. That's really having the highlight on, because it can get hot when you lose your job and you have bills to pay. You have things you need to address and you're not for sure where to go. And so you always want to make sure that you're developing your skills, that you're always interviewing for jobs. The rule of thumb is you should be interviewing for jobs 3 times a year just to keep your skill sharp. And this will help you to always reset your mentality. It will help you to make sure that you have a plan so that you can feel confident. And it helps you to keep your emotions in check when the pressure gets on. And remember, when it's hot, don't chase the emotion, chase your execution. You need to be ready to always execute your skill set. And that's hard to do when you don't practice your skill set, when you don't work on sharpening. So I have 3 things to help with building your leader under pressure. The first one is rehearse high stress scenarios. A lot of times we don't practice what to do. We get in a moment and then that causes us to just respond on how we have a particular emotion. When you practice mentally what you go through, it helps you to execute when the actual moment comes. And if you don't start out that way, you're able to get there in 1 or 2 minutes because you've practiced going through different situations mentally. So you'll know how to respond when it happens. You don't need to rise to the occasion. You need to fall to your level of preparation. And so when you get in the moment of being able to prepare for things, preparing to network, preparing to speak, preparing to interview, preparing to how you would deal with if they called you in the office and say, hey, your services is no longer needed. How would you respond? What would be your next step? Even when you get a big windfall of money, what will you be preparing for next? Am I getting life insurance? Am I going to, and what am I going to invest in that's going to be able to pay me so I don't have, so I can just sit on my money? That's all a part of the mental preparation and things that you need to do in order to work on that. And the second one is you need to establish a personal reset routine. My reset routine, whenever things get hot, I'm always like, okay, time out. Let me take a knee. When I take a knee, let me work on my deep breathing. Let me work on my deep breathing. Now let me focus on what I practice on. Okay. They say, make sure you be careful with the words that you say. Make sure you work on saying, okay, when this happened, I felt that. And then I always ask, why did I feel that way? Was I not prepared? Did I miss something? And then I prepare and I move on, ready for the next adventure, ready for the next journey, ready for the next challenge. But it's really about establishing great habits so that you don't get caught up and you are constantly working on moving forward with forward momentum. And the third one is lead with questions, not just answers. In high stake moments, leaders who ask the better questions usually come up with the better solutions. And what's our next move? Okay. What's still in my control that I can control? Because a lot of times you can't control what a team does when they release you. You can't do anything when a team wants to trade you. You can't do anything when a company moves your position. You can't do anything about that. So you need to be rehearsing, what do I do when it's time to move on, and have a plan even before you go into the situation. And so those are 3 points. I hope you find those helpful. And remember, great leaders guide minds, not outcomes. It's how you think about things, it's how you position things. And if you change the way you look at things, the way things you look at change. But if you don't change it, then it's not going to happen. Being aware of what's going into us, the programming that we're getting, all that mess on television, all that mess on social media, all that fighting and arguing, I can't stand it. I hate seeing it. I hate see people watching it. And I have seen people respond the same way, even though they try to admit they don't respond that way, they do. And it comes out all the time because that's what actually goes into them. And so I want to be able to pull up right now one of the questions that came across from one of our listeners. The question is, how do I know if I've mentally checked out, even though I'm still showing up? John, thank you for that question. That's a real good question. And so one of the main reasons you will be able to know why you actually checked out would be you dread going in, but you love or you crave the end game. For example, I hate practicing. I don't really want to do this running. I don't want to go to the weight room, but I can't wait to get my shine on in a game. Or, man, I really hate going to work, but I can't wait till Friday because the weekend come up. I'm getting paid. That's really a sign that you could possibly have mentally checked out of something because you don't want to do the reps. You dread going to work. You don't really are clear of your purpose. It's just a routine, it's mundane, and you don't like that. And another sign is that you kind of stop asking, how can I grow? And you start saying, well, what's the point? I'm just going into work. And you kind of huff and puff. I don't like that. I gotta go to work. Well, that's a sign that you don't have a vision for yourself, that you don't know what your next step is, and that you need to prepare something for your next move, because really you're at the end of a chapter and it's time to move on. And when you don't know what to do, that's when you get coaching. That's when you get consulting. That's when you find out how you're wired and have people to help you work on your purpose in the direction that you're going in. And more importantly, here's another sign that you've checked out. You spend more time on your phone than you do on your purpose. I'm not on my phone scrolling a lot. I do get on my phone for entertainment, but the majority of my time when I look at my stats, I'm usually looking at a webinar. I'm usually listening to a YouTube training. I'm usually listening to some type of AI programming information. I'm usually researching and putting together training ops and training programs. And this is what helps a person to be able to get to the next level. And if you just on your phone for enjoyment for hours and hours and hours, or if you just collect the information and you're not acting on it, then it's probably a sign that you have checked out. And you should remember that burnout doesn't always scream. Sometimes it's just a whisper. Settle. I'm going to settle for less. I'm just going to go to work today. I'm fine with the status quo. I'm cool with just the way it is. I don't want more. I want more, but I don't really want to work hard like that. So I'm okay with just how it is. Hey, look, I'm Kevin C. Bozeman with Unbreakable. Tune in tomorrow. I got a very dynamic guest. Miss Corporate America is going to be here, and we're going to talk about some things because her story is amazing. She has done some things that has caused her almost to crack, but she has been exactly what's needed in terms of how to overcome some things. And it's going to be amazing. And everybody, that's my time. All I need to do is find my engineer buttons. And by the way, go ahead, make sure you ask any questions that you may want to know, or anything that can help. Questions, put them in the chat. Let me know what information you want. I have a bunch of championship experience coaching it, being a part of it, being around other men and other women champions, and it all falls on the same page. But a lot of people don't know that because they've never won those level of championships. And as you go to a different level, you're going to deal with a different devil. And so get this information. Let's get ready to change. And just remember, if you want to change the season in your life, you have to change the information you take in. Hey, that's my time, everybody.